Hello everyone, my name is Robin and I'm a chiropractor at Life Balance. Today we're going to be talking about the main causes of pain, specifically neck pain, back pain and headaches. Now the main cause of pain is stress. Stress can be broken down into three categories. We've got physical, chemical and emotional. Now there are two mechanisms in which these forms of stress can manifest themselves into pain. The first one we have is called creep, which is like a repetitive action, and overload, which typically happens on one big event. So what I'm going to do is give a few examples of each form of stress into ways of repetitive or of overload for you to give some examples to find out as to why you might be experiencing your pain. So some examples of physical stress, of creep or repetitive motions, is something like posture, something that we're doing on a daily basis, like our daily movements. So these days on lockdown, we're all sat down a lot during the day, or we might be out driving when we go back to work, or we might be doing a physical job. This is happening on a daily basis and adds up over time to give us pain. Okay, so the first example is going to be daily movements. Okay, an example of overload will be an accident or a sports injury. Okay, so it could be an accident in the car, it could be a sports injury, or it could be a fall. So our first physical stress of overload is an accident. Next we're going to move on to chemical forms of stress using green. Creep of chemical, or basically to do with our diet, what we're eating on a daily basis. Are we eating lots of sugars, lots of unhealthy fats, lots of processed foods? All of these over time are going to add up and put a toll on our bodies. So for creep of chemical, I'm going to put diet. A form of overload of chemical stress could be, say, like at a wedding. So where it's a whole day full of it's eating loads of food, typically unhealthy, drinking lots of alcohol, putting so much pressure on our liver to break down all the alcohol. So the main example of overload of chemical stress, I'm going to write, and I'm going to be blunt, is a hangover. Next we're going to move on and we're going to use red. Red is to show our emotional stress. For an example of creep of emotional stress will be, for example, the work that we might do, or troubles at home, or a death in the family, for example. All of these building up over time can manifest or can exacerbate pre-existing conditions that we already have. Okay, so examples is going to be work and life imbalance. Okay, an example of overload of emotional stress, as I mentioned earlier, could be, for example, a death in the family, as you might have, unfortunately, might have experienced. When there's a big emotional event, things that we already have can be worse. You know, the next thing that starts to happen is we experience a bit of pain. The next could be medical condition. All sorts of things can happen after one big emotional event. Okay, so one example of this would be a family death. Okay, so those are a few examples of the creep and overload mechanisms and the different forms of stress that might be giving you your pain. Thank you for tuning in and listening. We're just going to let you see the board if you'd like to.